Welcome to FitFarm, a show dedicated to creating a better life through fitness and the grappling arts. I'm Joseph Aronson.
I'm Jackie Baker. It's time to get jacked.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you guys to welcome our special guest today, Abbie Bradford.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Abbie. How you doing?
Hey. Good.
How was the drive out here? Good?
Great, sunny, beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if we can give people just a quick background on you, this is gonna be in the bio too of the episode, but just for people that don't want to read or maybe don't know how, could you just tell them a little about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My initial training is nursing. So nursing background, kind of my foundation, but I got into the holistic health side of things kind of through my own journey, and we can probably talk about that. But so I do currently really work with a lot of just holistic remedies, lifestyle, vitamins, supplements, herbs really is kind of my focus. So yeah, just kind of trying to get people healthy at like a root cause level. Really chronic issues is typically what I work with, but even people just with, that want to prevent issues come and see me too. So I really try to have a really whole body system approach, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like the preventive care more than anything, because now you're not waiting till the last second like, hey, I need to be fixed right now, help me out.
Right.
It's more like, hey, if you're making smart choices all the time, we're not in the situation where you're begging for help, like you're
or
there.
wait till your body is screaming, like I say, to where it really needs help.
Yeah.
So kind of getting it before all that.
Sure. So if we could just back up a sec, are you from the area actually?
Yeah, from Rockford, born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what got you into the health and wellness industry, I guess?
So to go way back, like I always knew that health and the medical field was kind of my niche. I knew that, but I didn't know where to go. So I thought I was going to be pre-med, thought I was going to be a doctor, actually. I thought I wanted to be a radiologist, and long story short, that wasn't where I was meant to be. So I went into nursing, and I ended up getting really sick at a young age. I was like 22, 23. I really just couldn't function, to put it straight. I mean, it was really hard, and multiple reasons, like I know that it was a combination of things that came into play at the same time, but I ended up finding out that I had Lyme disease. So
just from like a tick, or possibly?
Well, they think that, but they say that you can get it from mosquitoes, you can get it from anything that really travels and can bite you, right?
Sure.
So that could be even like mice and birds that give animals Lyme, and then you get Lyme, and it's just they're not really sure. It's actually kind of undetermined. But I found that out after trying to find out what was going on for like a year, and I really didn't even consider the traditional medical route at all. It's funny how things come into your life when you need them. And I was working at a place at a time, and that one of the regulars that I would see a lot would tell me he was going to this lady who was doing this live blood analysis. And long story short, I went to go see her, and we were trying to figure things out a little bit. And she sent me, because she couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, so she sent me to a like holistic MD. And he basically tried some things. He was like, we got to check for Lyme, after like 4 months of nothing really working. And so we checked for Lyme, and it was, it's a clinical diagnosis, meaning there has to be like multiple positive symptoms or lab tests or whatever. And as a whole, it was positive. So that led me into doing a lot of natural approaches. He basically told me that I could do, or I should do, at least 2 of 5 things to get better, treatments. I chose all 5.
Yeah, right. Overachiever.
I went, well, like when you feel that bad, that's just,
you're
like you'll do whatever.
Point,
yeah. I mean, I knew at that age, like obviously for one, it's not normal, but I need to try and reverse this as quickly as possible so it doesn't affect me the whole rest of my life. So that's probably inevitable anyways, but I don't know that you can actually totally get rid of Lyme disease. But anyway, so I got into this just deep dive of health and like herbs and supplements and diet, and just like, what can I give myself? What can I change? Literally almost did like a 180. Like I was always health conscious per se, but things like skim milk and fat free and all these kind of, I call them myths now because they have been kind of busted. Like we know that that's not good for you anymore. No. So, but that's how you're taught, that that's good for you. And so I kind of had to really change my perspective about health, especially food and diet. and then get into the I did some nutritional therapies, meaning like high dose vitamin C infusions and something called Rife therapy, which is like a bioenergetic type way to kill the Lyme with a flashing UV light. It sounds really esoteric, and it kind of is, but there's some really cool evidence about Rife therapy back in like the 30s, I think is when it started. But anyway, so I did a lot of these. I ended up doing like a whole year of antibiotics, which I'm totally not okay with typically, but they say that like Lyme disease is one of the times where like maybe it's okay. I would go back and I would do it differently now, but all in all, I got about 80% better, and it just threw me down this path that I knew I was meant to be in.
That's awesome.
So, you know, a lot of people in this field, this like holistic wellness field, have kind of this pain to purpose journey, right? Like they go through it themselves. They realize I need to help other people do this in this way and actually get better, like on a whole level, instead of just like band-aiding the symptoms. So
yeah, that's exactly why I asked. Actually, seems like the people that go down this either have dealt with tragedy or know someone very close to them, like their mom died of something that they could have maybe helped them with. So thought I'd ask. That's actually a really cool story. Going back to the holistic MD, is there one actually in the area here now? Or
he's in Beloit, Wisconsin, so not too far north, about a half hour or so, and he's MD trained, but in the last like 10 or 15 years, he really switched into a more holistic practice. So he does prescribe things still, like medications and stuff, but he really is educated on diet and lifestyle. And now he has some other treatments for Lyme that I wish he had when I saw him.
Sure. So, how long ago did you see him?
This was 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Okay, and that's when you started getting into the holistic side, right?
Yeah.
Were you already working as an RN, CNA
yet?
Yes,
okay. I was a nurse, but like just starting out. I was pretty fresh out of college.
Okay, cool. So then, fast forward, now do you guys still have a good relationship? Do you still talk to him here and there?
I do, and I actually go up there and I help him out with some of his patients because he does these alternative treatments, and there's more and more people that are wanting these treatments.
It's huge.
And he really specializes in like endocrine, so like hormonal, thyroid, that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of people that have those issues too. It's
and
like
so
everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thyroid medication is like the #1 prescribed med in the U.S. So he is extremely busy. So I do still talk to him, help him out, and
it's like thyroid and Ritalin, right?
Yeah.
Which I think the Ritalin thing's kind of whatever. I won't get too far into that, but the thyroid thing's huge because
both my parents are on it.
Yeah, and my mom too. I mean,
my mom.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And like you just ask around, you're like, oh, it's that common to just have these problems and just take a pill every day?
It's like everybody's parents I talk to have.
Yeah. So he does a lot of those treatments that I would love to carry on because he's kind of like getting to that kind of soon retirement age, and people need him. Like they literally need his treatments because there's just not a lot of options, at least around here. Maybe in other cities, where they have more of a holistic field of medicine, and especially in the really progressive cities like Boulder, Denver, Portland, San Diego, that kind of stuff. But around here in Rockford, we're kind of behind. So.
Yeah, it seems like everything starts out west and then slowly works its way here, right?
Yep.
Is it Kim, right? Is she
Dr. Kim?
Yeah, Dr. Kim. Is she MD in this too then?
So the clinic that I work at now, so she's the one that I initially went to that kind of started me in this holistic field.
Yeah.
She is a naturopathic doctor.
Okay.
And board certified, and she basically retired, and myself and two other ladies took over for her clinic. So that's where I am now, and that's what she does. She doesn't do like any prescribing at all. She's not allowed to, but she's kind of like the doctor when it comes to herbal medicine.
Sure. That's awesome. There's one other thing you said a few minutes ago, and I wrote it down here actually so I wouldn't forget. But because I forgot, I wanted to ask you about it, but I didn't even get to it. What do you think about those vitamin infusions? As far as I think there's a lot of people doing it with B vitamins too and C. What's your take on that?
So I can't speak for like the ones in the mall that give you B vitamins.
Right.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
An injection or
it's
a
in
shot,
your muscle.
like a shot glass?
It's in your muscle.
Wow.
So that is actually the best way to absorb B12. But vitamins as a whole, say vitamin C, magnesium, even like B complex vitamins, it's not easy for your body to absorb them, especially magnesium. and vitamin C because, like, say vitamin C, for instance, your bowels actually have a tolerance. So if you take too much vitamin C, it's gonna go right through you.
It's like caffeine.
So yeah,
Me and coffee.
Yeah.
And same thing with magnesium. Like certain kinds of magnesium are more absorbable than others. And funny enough, if you go to a regular doctor, they'll give you a form of magnesium called magnesium oxide, which is the least absorbable form. Whether that's on purpose or not, we won't get into. But when you take it IV, there's no absorption issues. It's absorbed immediately.
Yeah. That's
so a lot of people that have inflammatory issues in their digestive system, whether they know it or not, like a lot of people have digestive issues. So you're not able to absorb everything that you eat, everything that you take, even supplements. So the IV stuff is like liquid gold right into your system. And I think that's it was a key for me because I did have a lot of inflammation, actually, especially digestively after taking the antibiotics. Yeah. But yeah, I love those. And I do them at our clinic too, because people that are really fatigued, anxiety, depression, asthma, I mean, there's so many things that it can help with.
Yeah, I think they're awesome too. I just was kind of wondering about the stuff at the mall.
I can't speak for them because I don't even know like what form of B12 they give or whatever. Yeah. But we do that too, just because B12 is not absorbed very well orally.
And I'm wondering how you can get away with doing that in the middle of the mall too, if they needed something.
Seems so weird.
Yeah, if you need like a special permit to be able to just poke random people, or do they?
I'm not sure. I always thought that you had to be like an RN or a phlebotomist or someone that was like you had someone overseeing you like a doctor, but I'm not sure.
I thought for sure you need blood work and all this other stuff too before you go, put a needle in anyone. But okay. Anyways, let's switch it up here and go to something different, okay?
Yeah.
What do you think the future outlook is for natural health or holistic health? Because a lot of people, it seems like, I don't know if maybe it's just because of social media and people I'm friends with, but it seems like more and more people are kind of getting interested in that versus the traditional modern medicine.
That's a great question, because I believe that, and it's already evident that this is becoming the form of medicine that people want, because people are not okay with just going to the doctor and getting a Band-Aid solution anymore. And they're realizing that nothing, you go into your doctor's office, whether they, I think they give you like 7 minutes or something like that. If you go to an independent doctor, maybe they have 15 minutes. But that's like, for some people, especially in the chronic disease state, that's barely enough time to go over the medications they're taking, let alone talk about any lifestyle factors or try and discuss like how they're sleeping, or for women, like, how are your cycles? Like, are they normal? Like, that is all a sign of something, right? And they don't ask those questions. The nutrition and food aspect, they never ask those questions. So, I mean, all of those things are like, I mean, your food is your nutrition is your foundation. How you rebuild in your body is based on what nutrition you're taking in. So, to go back full circle, this form of medicine is addressing all of those. Holistic medicine is whole.
It's like your first line of defense too, right? I mean, as far as preventative too.
Yeah.
I mean, on that side, sorry.
But like when you've got like all these different symptoms, you go to a doctor because you have some, I don't know, neuropathy. You go to a neurologist for neuropathy. And then you have some heart palpitations, you have some heart pains, you go to a cardiologist. And you can't sleep, or you have some anxiety, so you go see a psychiatrist. I mean, like, everything is separated in the Western medicine world, which is okay for acute issues, I think. Like, I mean, we need doctors for trauma and car accidents and broken bones and those kinds of things. Like,
or an eye doctor for glasses, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's like certain issues that are more acute, meaning like sudden, that we need doctors for and surgeons, and I mean, they're life-saving. But when it comes to chronic disease and chronic issues, I think the Western medical field is terribly failing.
Yeah.
So the holistic approach is looking at every body system, how all the body systems interact, because they all do. There's so many different symptoms that are related that I don't even think a lot of people realize, because our thought is that everything is separate because the doctors are separate.
Yeah.
So it's kind of bringing everything together, looking at everything in your life and getting to the root cause. Is it an infection? I mean, you can have an infection in your blood, in your digestive system, in your all different areas of your body, and They just don't check for those things. That's just one example.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that you can check for that are causing the symptoms, and instead of just kind of giving you something to help you sleep or for your anxiety, you know.
Yep. And with the natural medicine, holistic medicine, same thing. Are you taking into account people's lifestyle too? I mean, because it seems like you said at the doctor, you got like your 7-10 minutes, whatever. You can't really get to know someone and their habits and this. And I think the big thing you guys might do is actually take into account what they're doing now and start to tweak that first.
Oh, yeah. So my intake form is, I'm trying to think, 5 or 6 pages long. And I spend an hour and a half with each person at the first visit because you need to go over, I want to know everything. I want to know, how are your bowels moving? I want to know, how are your cycles if you're female? What are you eating? How's your sleep? What traumas have you had in your life?
Stress, probably.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's
are
awesome.
you fulfilled? Are you feeling like you have no life purpose? I mean, all of that is taken into account.
There's a spiritual approach to that too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Big time. I think that's huge because, I mean, I think half of it's mental, too. Like, you're not going to get better if you're not going to think that you're going to get better.
The negativity and all those cycle patterns in our head, yeah.
Right, okay. So, speaking of natural remedies, what do you think of, this is a question for me, actually, that I was wondering about. What do you think about grounding or earthing, they call it, where you're walking the earth barefoot?
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on that? Do you think that actually is effective? Or
I do. So it's one of these modalities that it's not something you can see. So people have a hard time believing in it. But the fact is, there's a lot of research coming out about it, actually, because the Earth is an electrical planet, and we are bioelectrical beings. And whether you believe that or not, like, everything has a frequency. Everything.
Yep.
So because of the way that we're made, we are literally made to match, or I should say to benefit from the Earth's frequency. And because of paved roads and shoes and all those kinds of things, like, we don't get contact with the Earth like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like, your heart and your nervous system are both functions in the body that actually rely on chemical, or I should say electrical pathways. So when you are touching the Earth, it's kind of like a restoration or a stabilization of these energies in your body. So they can, like, harmonize your bodily functions. They can just boost your self-healing mechanisms, reduce inflammation and pain, improve your sleep, all that stuff, because it's literally just rebalancing you, because the frequencies, they just, not that they match, but they harmonize. And it's kind of like setting your battery on the charger, to get like a recharge and a balancing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So like walking around on the beach or even on the sand is
absolutely
great for you, right?
Out there.
I don't know about the gravel. Maybe get some hard rocks in your foot or something. But so that's kind of like it's not a newer belief, obviously, but it's something that's picked up again.
Well, they're starting to be able to prove it.
Yeah.
So they can actually measure these frequencies and see that when our skin touches the Earth, whether that's grass or trees or whatever, that we actually have a change once we do that. So
that's crazy. You never think that just walking outside that.
Yeah.
Have so many benefits.
I mean, there's so many things that can throw us off balance, and I feel like that is something that's given to us for free, and it's all around you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great thing to do, even if you're just, a lot of times I'll just go outside and sit on my patio and stick my feet in the grass while I'm reading or something, even if it's for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've also read, kind of similar to that, but I've read some of the benefits of people that actually walk and get in the habit of running barefoot too, in some of the postural deviations that you have because you're wearing shoes all the time versus when you go barefoot. So like if I was to go out and run barefoot right now because I've been wearing shoes all the time, my feet are going to kill me, right? But that's something you can build up, and actually it will help with everything, right? Your whole body.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't born with shoes on, so our bodies aren't used to that. But they form to our shoes, and they form to these different inserts and elevations in our shoes, so that when you actually go on the ground, it's stretching your foot, which hasn't been stretched, and that can be painful. So yeah, definitely have to ease into it.
Yeah, I've heard that. But I think that's actually awesome, and that's kind of one of the things about like your boyfriend Ryan or anyone that does like a martial art too. You're spending all that time barefoot on your feet. I think that's awesome for for
Absolutely.
your foot strength and flexibility and everything. So
Yeah.
I know when I train like jujitsu, grappling or whatever, it feels kind of good to just let your feet stretch and do their thing. And then of course, they're going to get sore because they're not used to that. But I mean, ideally, if there wasn't so much gravel out here or something, I'd love just to walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
gotta build up calluses on our feet.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of stinks if you live in like a neighborhood, I know you don't really, you're out in the country, but in a neighborhood when every single person around you is spraying their grass with chemicals.
Oh yeah.
Bummer.
It's gonna get into your yard. I don't like that so much. So I don't spray my grass, and I have weeds, and people probably judge me, but I want to be on real grass without chemicals.
Yeah.
Your feet are very absorptive, so you want to be careful about that too.
Yeah, I don't spray either. It's winter time, so you can't
well,
tell.
we were
but
spraying the weeds. But
you come out here in the summer, you'll see.
I made some natural spider repellent though that actually worked with like essential oils and stuff.
Nice,
I was surprised.
Yep. You work with a lot of essential oils too?
I do, yeah. Yep. There's a lot of they're extremely potent because they're distilled down to the actual oil that's just on the leaf that you can't even see with your own eye. But when you put a bunch together and you get this very concentrated oil source, it can be really powerful.
Yeah, because we were using, was it peppermint or what? Do you remember which one it was you're using for that? Or no?
I think it was like peppermint, maybe something else, and like vinegar and water, and I would just spray it constantly because I'm so afraid of spiders, and we get like huge giant ones.
Yeah.
So, and it actually worked. I was surprised.
There is another one you can use with cinnamon in the garden
cinnamon?
to kind of deter the beetles and things that'll eat the plants. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, because we were actually thinking about doing a garden this year because we have the space, so.
Yeah, you should.
And then just something natural to spray because you don't want to obviously spray a pesticide and then eat it.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why we want to grow our own is
yeah, to avoid
they
that.
do that at the grocery store. You just don't see that process.
Yeah,
unless you buy
right.
organic.
Yeah, we do usually. I mean, as much as possible.
Right.
Anything you can. So, which is there actually an ideal grocery store around here for the organic? Choices maybe is one, right?
Yeah, they smaller grocery store, but they only carry organic vegetables to my knowledge. And then Woodman's has a pretty decent selection.
Yeah, that's where
but there's still
go.
there's still some things that are hard to get, and some of it's seasonal and stuff too, which is probably good for our bodies to eat things seasonally. But yeah, those two.
Are there certain fruits and vegetables that are more important to get organic and others that are, not so much? Or
yeah, so if you've ever heard of the Dirty Dozen or the Clean 15?
Dirty Dozen?
Yeah. If people look those up, Dirty Dozen includes things like berries, leafy greens, celery, peppers. Those are all things that you want to try and get organic as much as possible because they are the dirtiest, per se, vegetables or fruits.
Yeah.
Especially berries. And well, if you think about leafy greens, there's so much surface area. So there's so much room for, the possibility of the pesticides catching on there. So that's really important.
Yeah.
And then the Clean 15 are things that have skins on them, like bananas, avocados, things that, you don't eat the skin, so they're not as important to get organic.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of...
What about potatoes?
I think those are on the Dirty Dozen.
Are they?
Because you eat the skins, and they're in the ground, and everything gets absorbed into the soil.
I
was wondering about that.
Aren't they?
Potatoes?
Organic?
Oh, Woodman's has them.
Yeah.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Sweet potatoes, too, organic.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. We have to switch over then.
I was telling you that, and you're like, yeah, it's
I was like, that's fine, whatever. It's like twice as much. No.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, dang it, there's another expense. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of stinks because the organic farmers obviously have to pay extra to have that certification, so you're paying for that in your food. It should be the other way around, and I hope eventually it is, that you have to pay to spray,
Yeah.
So then...
It's rhyme. It's catchy, dude.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
pray
it
to
be,
spray.
right?
Spray.
Pay to...
Pray and spray. Wait. Pay. I'm going to pay and spray, all right. I'm going to make you pay for spray. Whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you think... Speaking of berries, what do you think about we get wild blueberries versus regular?
Yes.
Are they much better?
Yeah, so there's different strains of fruits that are cultivated, meaning we have put them in the right growing conditions and that they probably wouldn't grow normally around here, right? So when you find wild blueberries, like from Maine per se, like those are like where a lot of them are found. They're smaller, they look different, they taste different, they actually have more flavor typically. And they're not cultivated to be in a different environment. So there's definitely I feel personally, I think there's probably evidence for this that it's just better for you.
Right, yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
we got that advice from the medical medium, so I don't know if you're a fan.
Yeah,
Are you- I mean,
yeah, and he talks about Maine blueberries too. Get the wild ones
That's where I
out
got
there.
that because I got a couple of his books. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool because it sounds like pretty much regular blueberries are modified. I mean, right, in a way. I
Well,
mean,
if you and if you look at them too, like they're just so much bigger,
Yeah,
and because they can
Like on
they're
steroids.
roided up,
well,
man.
right, and a lot of fruit is like that, and
Yeah.
because it's all about
Yeah,
the
you see like
dollar
the
a lot
big
of times.
oranges. It
Or
looks
those
like a
giant
grapefruit.
potatoes are like
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like,
You're
I don't
like,
even trust that.
that's
man.
roid it
probably
out.
not found in nature.
No.
Yeah, man, that was in a lab, dude.
Yeah.
You got that same stuff those power lifters take, man,
Right.
right?
Yeah, some creatine.
Sure. Okay, so if you don't mind, I was gonna switch it up to some listener questions.
For sure.
Or did you have anything you wanted to touch before I got into the listener questions?
No,
or-
go for it.
Okay, I had one ask how you feel about the fact that insurance is not covering a lot of the natural medicine.
Sure.
I mean, granted that you work in both fields, so I don't know how in depth you can get on that, but do you think that's something that should be covered by insurance?
Should be, of course.
Yes, right.
But there's a lot of politics in that answer. There's a partnership between the pharmaceutical industry, the insurance companies, and healthcare. So eventually, I believe that it only makes sense for them to switch over because, as we alluded to a little bit earlier, the natural healthcare is going to take over these this chronic disease care that we have right now. And therefore, it would only make sense for them to cover those things that will actually get people better because, well, in the end, they'd be paying less.
Yeah.
However, there is some, like I said, there's some play between the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical industries and all that kind of stuff, and they have these contracts that they have to, the hospitals, they have to like perform so many of these procedures in order to have a lesser price for the insurance companies, and it's just a lot of stuff like that. So eventually I feel like they will, because it will only make sense for them. And the power of the people and the voice of the people will take over as we start to put, our money into natural health care, and more people start to refuse these treatments, as even as severe as chemo and radiation and things. I have a lot of patients that come to me and just straight out refuse it because they know that it's either going to only give them a temporary extend of their life,
And they're going to be miserable the whole time.
or but a lot of times it comes back later on, and so they want something that's going to get rid of it. And yeah, I just feel like the insurance companies, everything will have to change eventually. And we are on that path, and it's gaining momentum, but we might not see it in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Maybe in our kids' lives, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what the next one was. Oh, this one's funny. It's from my mom. Shout out, Angie. Hey. She was wondering how is there a way to test for allergies to certain herbs, or is it kind of a little bit of trial and error?
Depends on the herb. There's some herbs that are only used topically, not a lot of them, but you kind of do what they call like a test patch, like on your hand or on your arm, and just you kind of make like we call it a poultice, which is like a mash of the herb in water basically, and you kind of heat it up and put it on your skin. That's one way to test for it.
So you kind of water it down a little so it's not full strength on an area, or
like
is it...
not necessarily water it down, but you want to make it so that the active ingredients are activated. So you
right
kind of
away.
like
Okay.
mash it, like if it's a leaf or if it's a root, kind of mash it with some water, and you can just kind of put a little bit on your skin, and then you can tell if you're gonna react to it that way. Each herb is in a plant family, and so like if you know that you're allergic to sunflower seeds, there's a whole sunflower family that there's a lot of herbs that are in that family, so you probably would stay away from that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of information. If you find like a materia medica on a specific herb, that's what I'm doing right now for my herbalism, kind of making my own materia medica, which is just really detailed information about like what class they're in, like what are the contraindications, meaning like when would people not want to take this herb. So you want to look up information like that, or obviously find someone who knows about it. As I've talked about in other podcasts too about herbs, like there's a very, very low risk of side effects with herbs, but you still want to be cautious because they are medicinal and you don't want to just take them recklessly. So I always do recommend that you find someone that's knowledgeable about them, and they can kind of guide you through that, because the last thing anyone wants is a severe allergic reaction. But the chance of that is pretty low.
Pretty slim, right?
Yep.
Did you have one that you were thinking of? Actually?
We had a couple. So lately I've been seeing this big hype about like a vegan diet, and it's starting to become more and more popular. So I kind of wanted to see what your take was on that.
Sure. There's going to be some resistance, I feel, to my answer, but everyone's on their own journey as far as health. I feel like vegan diets are extremely helpful for a short-term purpose, specifically cancer, specifically when people really need to alkalize their body very quickly. If someone comes to me with cancer, I recommend for sure 100% vegan sugar-free diet, because that alkalizes the body very quickly. Animal products are very acidic. I feel like, though, as a whole, we are meant to eat meat. I feel like that's just primitively how we've always been, and it is somewhat difficult to get the right amount of like amino acids and even B12. B12 is really hard to get from plants. Iron you can get from dark leafy greens, but you really have to eat a lot of them. You get a lot of a good like zinc and things too from good quality red meat, really good omega-3s from good quality grass-fed red meat. So as long as you're paying attention, I think the problem comes in is when we're eating these foods that are not natural to our bodies, right? So like the chemicals and things that are put into animals and then they get into our bodies, like that's just not good for us. So I personally feel like if you're getting good quality meat and animal products, that is okay for most people. You know, some people, because of inflammatory issues or chronic disease issues, might have an issue with dairy or eggs. And a lot of times like people can react to those, but I feel like on a whole, just basic health level, I feel like we're meant to eat meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if a healthy individual, you know, was interested in going vegan only, and they were thinking it was benefiting their health in some way, at that point it's kind of a wash, you think?
Well, it's difficult, like I said, to get those nutrients, and also it's really difficult to get enough good fats.
Yeah.
Usually, you know, when someone goes vegan, their cholesterol goes way down, which is actually not good because all of your hormones are made from cholesterol. Every cell in your body, the membrane is made up of fat. So when you don't give yourself the building blocks for that, your body can't make those things.
Yeah,
so then you become deficient, and a lot of people feel really good when they go vegan at first because they're putting all these plants in their body. And I mean, you can be a crappy vegan too and just eat pasta, but you know, then after a while they start to be deficient in some of these things. So then after a while they really feel depleted.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a long-term good choice.
Right.
Okay,
so
maybe
it's like a week or two, you know, dabble.
Or even a month or two.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I said, in the case of cancer or something, when you really need to stay away from anything acidic because cancer cells thrive in the acidic environment. But yeah, short term only.
Okay. Yeah, I had heard somewhere it has a harder time surviving in an alkaline environment. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. What about this one right here? That's one that bugs
Eczema.
you.
So my daughter has it really bad, and I've never really had it until after I had her, and now I have it really bad too. And she has it so bad, she's just like is all over her back, and she doesn't really. I don't feed her wheat. She doesn't have any dairy. She has goat milk, but she just eats fruits and vegetables. And I don't know if there's anything that.
So there's a theory, and actually, if you've read the medical medium stuff, he has a theory that eczema is actually due to liver issues. So the liver is unable to process certain toxins, and in utero, you probably gave her some of those. So that's why she gets it, and that's why a lot of times they consider it somewhat genetic, because it is passed from mom to baby a lot of times. But in my experience, working with people with eczema, we start to clean out the body, and initially it gets worse because the skin is your largest organ. And so when things can't be pushed out through your other elimination pathways, we have a lot of them: kidneys, liver, bowels, respiratory. I mean, they're all elimination pathways. But if your liver is very toxic, and due to certain toxic chemicals, it's unable to process a lot of this stuff, and so it comes out on the skin. So a lot of times people get rashes and things like that, besides like an allergic reaction. A lot of times it's the body's way of trying to get rid of stuff, but it can't in the other way.
Okay.
So it's coming out on the skin.
Makes
And
sense.
so, yeah, working with the body's elimination pathways and the liver specifically is really helpful for eczema.
Do
Okay.
you think hormones play a role at all in that too?
In eczema?
Yeah, because it seemed like it got worse right after the baby, right? Or
Yeah.
for you, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, any sort of stressful event is hard on the body, and so then those processes are probably even, dampened more than they were before. So, I mean, there's not much more stressful than having a child for a woman.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And not even like, I mean, physically, mentally, everything.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's like a probably a peak in inflammation that your body's dealing with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long process too. Been having a child for over a year. It hasn't gotten any easier. I'm waiting for like that part.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, I had a couple other like, I don't know if it's you consider it a fad, but it's something that's getting more popular again now.
Mhm.
It's fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you're familiar. I mean, obviously
yeah.
you're familiar, but is it something you're a fan of or against that or
So, like intermittent fasting?
intermittent fasting? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So fasting, the premise behind that is that you're giving the body a break. You're giving your digestion a break because it's constantly working if we're eating, grazing constantly, right? So giving the digestion a break, I think, is good. I think intermittent fasting is easier and better for men. Women were more hormonally sensitive, including blood sugar and insulin. So I think that for women, it's difficult for us to do intermittent fasting because when you go 16, 18, 20 hours without eating, like we're just more sensitive where our blood sugar has difficulty stabilizing.
Do women seem to get more irritable when they go that long without eating? I hadn't noticed, but I'm just wondering if that's
So
a thing.
some of the signs of low blood sugar are shakiness, weakness, and irritability. So
There, okay, that explains it.
yeah. So when you get too low, your body goes into this fight or flight stage, and it's basically like thinks it's gonna die because
We're
it's
fighting.
in starvation mode. Yeah. So
That's
for women, it's definitely harder, and I think especially if there's any adrenal issues. Your adrenals are your little organs on top of your kidneys that fight stress. They douse inflammation, and they also have a lot to do with blood sugar balance. And so a lot of women, especially after having a child, or just a lot of people are fatigued because of their modern lifestyle, and they're just go all the time and not sleeping enough and that kind of stuff. So your adrenals are very taxed, and anyone that is feeling too fatigued, I don't think intermittent fasting is good for, but it can be great for anyone that has good vitality and balance in their life. I think it's really good to give the digestion a break.
Do you think it's something that you could do like daily, or is it something that maybe you could do once a week? Or
Yes, what a lot of people do, some people do like a 24-hour fast and just make sure they're getting like bone broth or something in where they're getting their nutrients, their minerals and vitamins, and hydration, of course. And that can be good. Some people can do that for a day, once a month, once a week, whatever. Intermittent fasting can be a more regular basis. It can be every day. So if you feel like, especially if you're getting good fats in, fats are like putting logs on the fire versus little twigs, which are like carbs and
sugars.
Yeah, sugars, exactly. So when your body is used to burning logs versus twigs, it can go longer. So like even if you're getting good fat in the morning, say people make like bulletproof coffee.
Yeah.
So that's like the coffee with the
Coconut
MCT
oil
or coconut oil, grass-fed butter, that kind of stuff, and you're getting calories, but it's no carbs. That is still putting you in a fasting state. So some people just do that in the morning and then don't eat until lunch or something.
Yeah.
And then that's still keeping them fasting, basically.
So you think that bulletproof? Because I used to do that bulletproof coffee, and then I didn't know if it was good or what.
Yeah, I think if you get good quality coffee, organic coffee is really important because there's a lot of pesticide use in coffee.
Oh, I didn't know
a lot of
that.
mold issue too, which can still be an organic.
I drink a lot of Starbucks. It's probably not good.
Yeah.
Tastes
it's
good.
expensive.
It is expensive.
But, yeah, good quality, and then whether it's coconut oil or MCT oil, that goes straight to the liver and gives you energy. It really kind of bypasses digestion, and then if you get a good quality ghee or grass-fed butter, I think,
Is there any that you recommend for like MCT oil?
Like a brand?
Yeah, like a brand.
The one that I use is called that's a beer, Left Hand.
Oh yeah, throw that in your coffee.
It's like left. Oh, I can't remember right now. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. I can get back to you on that.
That's cool. Okay,
you just want to make sure that it doesn't come from MCT oil. Can come from palm oil, palm kernel oil, something like that, which is not usually a great source, not sustainably sourced. So you want to make sure that they get their MCT oil from coconut oil.
Okay.
Cool. Now, what do you think about the extended fast? That's like a newer thing that people are doing, like a 72-hour type fast.
Sure. Yeah. As long as you're getting, I mean, you can't just do nothing. I feel like this is, mostly my opinion, of course, but I just feel like the body, you can't just give your body water, especially the whole blood sugar thing we just talked about. I think you can ease into that and do like a day fast and see how you do with that. But if you're getting low in blood sugar, you're doing more harm than good probably at that point.
Yeah.
So, really got to just pay attention to blood sugar. And even like some of these juice fasts, I think are okay maybe for like a day or so. But when you get into the 2, 3, 7 days.
You're getting extreme, right?
I mean, that's like a blood sugar roller coaster right there.
Yeah.
So some people can probably handle it, but most of us probably not.
I feel like that might be a fad for people that are just trying to say, hey, I'm extreme. I'm going to go, a week without eating. Watch me, You're like, well, I don't know if that's good or bad, but okay, have fun.
Yeah. I think on that note, I think something that can be really good, kind of like juice fasting, is doing like a soup fast where you're only eating soup for like 3 or 5 days. So everything is blended. Everything is pretty much pre-digested at that point, and it's really easy. It's really gentle on your body if you feel like you need a break from digesting the really, the dense proteins and the dense foods.
So
that can be good.
It's not just broth, though. It's actually like it's a broth with
like
everything blended in it.
Yeah, I mean, you can do just broth, but but like blend everything so that it's just really creamy and easy to digest.
So more like a soup.
It's really easy. One of my favorite things to do is just like put a bunch of like every green vegetable that I can think of in a pot and boil it and puree it and put a little bit of coconut oil or like grass-fed butter in it, and it actually tastes amazing.
It does sound pretty good.
And it's such an easy way to get in your greens.
Nice.
Whether you're doing a little cleanse or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea, actually.
We try that.
Yeah, we will do that for sure. Are there certain foods that people are eating on a daily basis that are very popular that cause a lot of inflammation or leaky gut? I mean, that top the list anyways?
That they think are healthy, or you just mean general?
Yeah, that people, it quote unquote deem healthy, like the general public would assume, hey, this looks healthy, but really it's feeding inflammation.
That's a very individualized question, I feel like, because some people that are really inflamed and have a lot of gut issues, sometimes dairy, like I said, or eggs or something that seem healthy, like raw butter or goat cheese or something that's typically a pretty good food, can be inflammatory for people that have a lot of inflammation already. When you have leaky gut, we already know that there's food sensitivities because leaky gut literally means leaking into the bloodstream. So these undigested food particles get into the bloodstream, and your immune system basically overreacts and kind of freaks out and says, what is this molecule that shouldn't be here? And so then it becomes reactive to those foods. So until you can actually heal leaky gut, some of those foods that seem healthy can not be so healthy for you.
Right.
I was actually diagnosed with that when I was like 18. And I first went to a regular doctor because I told her I was just feeling spacey and all these other signs.
I think
you
said you had air in your head?
I told the doctor, I'm like, my mom was sitting with me too, and she's like, well, tell the doctor what you're feeling. And I was like 18, I was all nervous, and I was like, I just feel like I have air in my head. And we couldn't stop cracking up after that. But then she diagnosed me. I just told her that, and she's like, oh, you have ADD. So she gave me medicine, and I was like, I felt horrible on that stuff. So then I ended up going to a holistic doctor, and he told me that. So
yeah.
The leaky gut?
Yeah, the leaky gut.
Yeah, there are tests you can do. The work that I do with the live blood analysis, too, we can tell with that pretty easily. You can actually see the gut tissue in the live blood. We do these other, they're called dry layers. We can see the systemic organ inflammation. You can see leaky gut in the digestive system, but it's pretty rampant. Most people have some degree of it.
So how does that work? Do you just take a small sample of the blood, the live blood?
Yeah, it's just a little finger prick, a little tiny drop, put it between 2 slides, look at it under the bloodstream, under the microscope.
Wow.
And you can see
that's
a lot of
much
cool
easier
stuff.
than getting tons of blood drawn or whatever.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, I can't tell like your exact levels of vitamin D or potassium, that kind of stuff that they check for, but we can see a lot of things like parasites, yeast, too much bacteria, viruses, all kinds of stuff. Your white blood cells, how they're doing. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So, this is another question I had from a listener. They were wondering if you recommend any specific vitamins or supplements to take on a daily basis, or are you just all about good nutrition?
Well, that is always the foundation. Supplements should be, as they're called, a supplement, to the diet. However, our soil is so depleted that our food doesn't have the nutrients in it that it used to. So I don't feel like you can really get as much of these vitamins and minerals as we need just from food sometimes, especially if there's digestive issues. You're not absorbing a lot of the stuff, and you can't actually break down all your food enough to absorb all the nutrients. That's a huge problem too. So certain supplements, one thing that's really good, like we just talked about leaky gut, that's pretty rampant. A lot of times leaky gut comes on because there's a lot of, say, attackers that come in to the digestive tract, like sugar, alcohol, processed foods, even antibiotics, birth control, steroids, all that stuff tears apart the lining of the gut. It's very, very thin, and it's easily sloughed off, basically. One thing to repair that, and that's really good for muscle regeneration too, is AlGlutamine. You might know about that. AlGlutamine is really good for muscle recovery, but it's also good for rebuilding the lining of the gut, and it's just a good thing that people can take, and it's just an amino acid. So it's pretty it's pretty unharmful.
Do you take that in a pill form or a powder? Or
it's a powder, and it's just like a little, I don't know, like a teaspoon or so. 5 grams is a teaspoon. I would do that.
Just in your water or something?
Yeah, like before bed is great. That's a really good one. I'm sure people have heard about probiotics as well. Probiotics are good.
I had that's funny. That's a question I was going to ask you about. So
so that is something that I think everyone can benefit from, except if someone has a lot of bloating and gas issues. That is a whole nother issue.
Joey's got that.
Come on. Whatever.
He's got a bad.
I know nothing of that. I don't.
So, yeah, that's a whole nother
What
issue.
do you recommend for farting too much? Because he's got that.
Yeah, so are there two questions, two-parter.
Sure.
First off, on the probiotics, the question was, are there certain brands or strains to look for? And then the second one was about bloating and gas. But I'll let you go with the first one
Okay.
first.
Yeah, cool. So there's certain brands that are good, are like Garden of Life, Advanced Naturals, Custom Probiotics, Sport, Megaspore. That's one of them. There's a lot of good ones that you can find out there. It's just making sure you're rotating them and not taking the same one every single month for ever and ever. There's literally hundreds of strains out there, and they can only put so many in a probiotic, and so you kind of want to get a diverse colonization of them.
Yeah.
So just I tell people to kind of switch around brands, switch around the different ones within that brand. Just make sure that it's a high potency one. So a maintenance dose, I would say, would be at least like 10 or 20 billion. If you really need some gut repair, you want to go like 50 to 100 billion. Make sure that you're not buying it in like CVS and Walgreens and stuff, because the thing with supplements is, for one, you get what you pay for, and number two, they're not regulated by the FDA or anyone, so they can literally put whatever they want in there.
That's so scary, isn't
and call it whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, you see like professional sports, people take a supplement and all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's steroids in there. It's scary that the FDA tests nothing until they hear there's something in it. They're like, oh, we'll test it real quick,
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary. Okay, so
second part?
Yeah, I guess we get this. I'm stalling. Can you tell?
Yeah, I need some help with this.
No, whatever, man. It's like a free air freshener, dude. How are you gonna say that?
It's definitely not.
No, but real quick, you're saying basically to keep maybe alternating every month or so, changing the strain?
Well, like say that you get a bottle and it lasts you a month. Maybe it lasts you 2 months, whatever, however many capsules are in there. But I would just switch it up.
Okay, because your body adapts to that, I imagine.
Yeah,
right?
And actually the latest research on probiotics is that they don't necessarily colonize your gut, but they affect the bacteria in your gut. So they used to think that you're putting those bacteria and they're staying there. But it actually is more like just having the influence on your bacteria, keeping things in check, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So
We can get to part 2 now.
Okay.
So she's always really gassy and bloaty, and I'm
Yeah, okay.
no, I'm kidding. So I mean, is there? It's funny. Why don't you ask? Because it's about
I already
me.
asked.
Okay. Yeah. So what? Yeah.
yeah, what's
Are
the
there-
deal with that?
Yeah. What? I mean, yeah. Is there like natural or anything like specific you can look out for
Anything
to
you
not
can
eat or
take
eat or
to-
take or
So typically that means that you're fermenting your food more than normal.
that's healthy, right?
Well,
I'm kidding.
fermentation in the
Not
gut,
for
not
me.
so much.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So when there's a lot of gas going on, that means that the bacteria in your gut, and we literally have trillions,
Mhm.
that they're eating your food and they're basically fermenting it and producing a gas. And
Yeah.
that makes people, if it's happening in the small intestine, people get really distended and bloated.
Oh yeah. I'll
So-
end up with the bloat. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then if it's happening, even if it is happening there and the large intestine, then you usually get a lot of gas as well. So part of that is actually not taking probiotics because you're just kind of feeding the ones that are already kind of overgrown.
Mhm.
And so what happens is like the small intestine doesn't have a lot of bacteria in it. It really should be pretty clean. It's where you have a lot of your absorption of your nutrients, and so it needs to not have a lot of other action going on. And you do have something called the migrating motor complex that goes in all the time and is sweeping the small intestine back and forth. However, if the bacteria from the large intestine come up into the small intestine and start to colonize it, they will literally eat your food when you should be absorbing it.
Oh.
So
wow.
then you get to this bloating, and it's called small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and I see it all the time.
Yeah,
I had it
do too.
I had it myself because of
She
the
does too.
antibiotics. Yeah, long-term antibiotic use can give it to you.
Sure.
With women, birth control can contribute to it. A lot of stuff.
Are there certain blood types that are more sensitive to that too? Do you know?
Not that
or
I know of.
Okay. I didn't
Maybe,
know.
but I'm not sure.
Okay. No, that's fine.
So part of that is it's kind of like decreasing the amount of bacteria and kind of holding off on probiotics until that goes away.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't take the probiotics, so I'll probably stay away from those. I guess unless I just want to be mean. No, I'm kidding. Totally joking. Okay, so I think I just have one more listener question here. It's just your opinions on wheatgrass and wheatgrass supplements.
Sure. I think wheatgrass is great. If you can grow it yourself and you have a juicer, that's awesome. I don't personally, but I kind of wish I did. It's extremely high in like chlorophyll and a lot of ingredients that are really good for boosting the energy of our cells, and it just has a lot of nutrients in it. That's why people do it, because just a little shot of it is like super nutrient dense, kind of like a vitamin shot almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have access to it, that's great.
Okay. As far as like a supplement in supplement form,
You
the
can get
same
it in a
thing.
powder, yeah.
Yeah.
You can just put it in a smoothie, put it in water. Yeah.
What is wheatgrass? Is it like wheat? Or...
It's not wheat. And so it's kind of confusing. People hear that as wheatgrass. It's not like the wheat the grain that grows.
Mhm.
It's just I don't know. It's literally
Just
a grass,
It's
but
just the name of the grass.
and it doesn't.
yeah.
It's so like think about sprouts. Like sprouts are so small. They're just all the nutrients are in that small amount.
Yeah.
Compared to like a whole plant, it's kind of condensed into a small little amount. And that's what wheatgrass is too.
Oh, okay.
Sprouts are good, actually. Yeah, like they're pretty concentrated, right? In
Extremely.
nutrients,
Yeah.
we like throwing those in, here and there when we can.
Yep.
So I think that's it for the listener questions, and then I just was wondering what you had for any goals or anything you were trying to achieve this year, 2018, since it's still January.
Yeah. To get really personal in my life, the main thing is, this sounds maybe silly, but for me, getting myself on a darn sleep schedule is like, I feel like that is key for me to get into balance. I am terrible with that.
Are you a night owl,
Yeah.
up all night, or?
Well, I have always tended towards being more active in the night as far as like my brain and like ideas and getting things done.
You start flowing, you're like, I gotta
Yeah.
stay up and write this down or do this,
Yeah,
right? That's what
yeah.
we've been doing lately.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah, and so it's just not good though, because then you're deficient in sleep or whatever. It's hard to get up in the morning, and I love the morning time. I do, but getting up to the morning time
I know.
is
yeah.
like, it's just not natural for me for some reason. So I'm really trying to get myself into a better schedule, a better rhythm, so that every day my body is just in this rhythm, and I feel like that's a really good foundation to have. So I'm working
Yeah.
on that for sure.
Cool.
Some people say like an Ayurvedic medicine, which is like Eastern Indian medicine, that you should rise with the sun and all this stuff. and that's natural to our body, and I think it is. But for some reason, there's some of us that just doesn't seem natural for.
Man, and like you
You
said,
know?
sometimes the brain, it like literally just kicks in. I don't know, 8, 9, 10 at night. You're like,
Yeah.
man, I got a ton of ideas flowing. Or
Yeah.
like a lot of people put the memes up. They're laying in bed and they're thinking about 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to waste that moment, so I'll turn the light on or go downstairs and just start writing stuff down. You're like, oh, this is a great idea. This is a great idea. What about this? You know?
Or just when you got a lot going on and you're just trying to be efficient with your time and do all this stuff, and it's hard to just tell yourself to shut off and chill out for like 30 minutes at least, so you can just shut your brain down before you go to bed.
Yeah, and what do you think about that? Actually, I'm sorry, more questions,
Oh,
but
good.
what do you think about as far as electronics and everything before bed? I know a lot of people say they want to take like a 30 minutes to an hour to not look at their phone, TV, anything, just unwind, right?
Well, typically most of us are engaged from the moment we wake up into the moment we go to sleep, and then we expect our brain just to be like, okay, I'm done, and now I'm going to go to sleep, and it doesn't really work that way. So, ideally we would just kind of taper that off, be around less light. You'd even get those like orange glasses for the blue blockers that they block all the blue light around you. You still get the light on your skin, but at least your eyes are not looking at the screens in that blue light, which stimulates your body to stay awake. Your melatonin is actually what helps you sleep, and that is activated by darkness, by the more red and the orange light. So we can get away from the screens, and kind of wind down and do some like more relaxation type things that will help our body know that it's time to go to bed now, because our bodies do thrive on the darkness and the light cycle.
Yeah, so you got to send the right signals, right? Pretty much.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. So that's your goal, is to figure out how to go to bed early, right?
Get into a better circadian rhythm.
Right.
Yes.
It sounds so much easier than everything else you've already accomplished. So I think you're gonna get that. You're gonna nail it.
It takes some self-discipline though, man. Every single day.
Especially with how much you're always reading and studying. I imagine it's like, I just want to finish this one page.
Right.
And then I want to finish these next 100, and then I'll go to bed.
For sure.
Right. So I mean, I'm good on the questions. Was there anything else you had for?
No, I think we covered
I think that was
everything.
great. Yeah.
Anything you wanted to touch on, or you're good, right?
I think that was good. Maybe we'll do another one in the future and get more deep into some other issues.
Yeah,
sure.
Sure.
It's just we're just scratching the surface right now. Now, for anyone listening, is there anywhere they can reach you or get a hold of you if they want to set up an appointment with you? Or
Sure.
I think you had a something coming up at Choices.
Oh,
soon,
right. Yeah, I'm teaching an herbal immunity class at Choices, February 7th at 6 p.m. They're asking people to register. You can go on their Facebook page and register just so that they can prepare. But that's going to be all about, mostly herbs, but just things that you can do, even supplements and things to, either prevent sickness or help you get over something quicker. I've got an arsenal in my cabinet that I rely on, that I douse myself with at the moment I feel like I'm getting sick, and it really does work. So kind of teaching people how to use those more, what to keep in their house. That'll be February 7th.
Okay, sweet. And then if they want to see you at
Discovering Wellness. Discovering Wellness in Rockford, they can email me. It's my first name, Abbie Bradford 5290 at Gmail. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. It's my full name, so it's not hard to find.
Okay, it's just at Abbie Bradford on Instagram.
ABBIE, yep.
Yep, and then Abbie Bradford on Facebook. Okay, cool. All right, and then this is FitFarm Podcast on Instagram, in case you stumbled on this and didn't see us on social media. And
I'm on Instagram at JACFIT1, or Jackie Baker on Facebook.
Okay, cool. All right, we're out of here.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.